Welcome back, everybody, to another edition of Kicking It with Cal. I'm your host, Cal Denicky, and we have a very special guest with us today. Kane Korso is in the building, aka Gabe. And Gabe, how you doing tonight?
I am good. Honored to be here. Thanks for having me.
Good. And I introduced him as Kane Korso. That is his alias stage name in the music world. We're going to be talking all about music today, but first, I want to start off by sharing with the audience how we met. And it was kind of a funny story because we both individually signed up to play in a rec volleyball league. And me, you, and four others showed up randomly one night and just said, "Hey, how you doing?" And from there, we ended up playing for a year or so. So, what do you remember about that encounter of us just randomly meeting, becoming friends, and doing that?
Yeah, that was awesome. It's always a crapshoot when it's just random like that. But we all got along pretty instantly and played some decent volleyball some of the times.
We did. And I feel like we all wanted to make new friends. We all wanted to do something that we had in common, and it ended up turning into something really fun, something we looked forward to every
Yeah.
Monday, because Mondays can be whatever.
That was the best part about it.
Yeah,
Was that it was Mondays. It's like the only time in my life I've ever loved Mondays.
exactly. So through playing, I found out that my guy over here, Kane Korso, makes music, produces music. We'll get all the handles out there in a little bit, but if we're going to talk about music, I want to ask you, because you produce music, what kind of music did you grow up on? What were some of your biggest influences, and where did music start from you at an early age?
Yeah, I was really lucky that my parents loved music, so there's just always music in the house. Like vinyl, they had all these old records from the '60s and '70s, and cassettes in the car. So grew up on kind of classic rock and like the era that our parents loved, and from there started exploring more. But just yeah, always car rides were always like we had albums we loved, Red Hot Chili Peppers, Beatles, and
Hmm.
so I kind of got to start young with it, and it's always been a part of my life, which is really nice.
Yeah. And we talked about the forms of music and how at our age, there was the evolution of, where we started listening to music. But what was that like for you in terms of what, like, physically you were listening to music on, as opposed to today's day and age where it's all streaming from the
Yeah,
phone and there's not really many different forms?
yeah. So it's like vinyl and cassette when I was really young, then CD, like really when I start remembering CDs were big, and then it became that first iPod. Was lucky to get for a birthday one year.
What was your iPod like? I had the Nano, an
Okay.
iPod Nano in seventh grade with the little spinny wheel. There
Yes.
was a few games on it, and you download your music from iTunes. But
Yeah, I just had a few errors before that. I think the first true one had like the spinner and four things at the top. This was that first one that was just the spinner, that true classic one. And I don't even know how many gigs it was, but for that time, it was like
mhm.
mind blowing.
Right. I eventually moved on to the iPod Touch about
Okay.
like early high school, and that was, you had internet on that, and it could play games and
Yeah.
do a few more things. But I tell my students all the time that I teach, like, there was an evolution. It wasn't just like straight Spotify or Apple Music.
Definitely. Yeah. And the touch, I feel like they've kind of just rolled with that. Like
Mhm.
I know the iPhone's pretty different, but that's kind of the base that
Yeah,
they've rolled with for
that
longest.
iPod Touch was like, what a modern iPhone kind of looks like, but
Yeah.
obviously way less features
Yeah.
of what it was. So I always try to get a small phone because it reminds me of what the iPod Touch felt like in my hand. Like,
Cool.
I think I had an iPhone 12 mini, and it just reminded me of the iPod Touch, and that's just like what I
Nice.
grew up on. So yeah, I wanted to ask, what do you feel like were the most formative years for you musically, and why? At what age, and kind of when did you start feeling like music left that impact on you?
Yeah. I was lucky that I got to start playing really young too. So, in our house, we had a grand piano, and it wasn't because my parents bought it or anything. It's just those things are so tricky to move that the previous owner just left it there just
Okay.
because it was up a floor and it was massive.
Mhm.
So then I just had this beautiful grand piano already there that I could, I just kind of slowly gravitated towards it, which was nice. And then And my parents were really supportive. Eventually got piano lessons and drum lessons and just got to grow up playing. So um, yeah, that's what the early years were like. And then
Talking elementary school, middle
yeah,
school.
I like started playing maybe 5 or 6.
Mhm.
And then, life ebbs and flows. Maybe you stop for a bit and come back to it. Where I got into the production stuff that I do now is uh, like for a birthday one year, my parents asked what I wanted, and they ended up getting me a synthesizer.
Okay.
Just because, like,
What birthday was that? Or roughly?
the,
Gets fuzzy.
yeah, most like the production stuff was at 16.
Okay.
And again, very grateful for that. Like they didn't buy me video games or anything like that, but stuff like that, they were down to get me. So they got me like kind of the basic recording gear, and then I could kind of set up a little studio in the bedroom and had like rappers over from high school and started recording and stuff.
That's cool. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I bet when you got that synthesizer, it was like, I'm just thinking about it constantly and when can I make the next beat?
Yeah.
Kind of like I felt like when I got my first Game Boy and was playing Pokemon, like I couldn't wait to get back to it.
Oh, 100%. And it was cool because it just had the one piano. That synth, I think, had 494 sounds. So I go from one to every instrument you could think. They don't sound perfect. Sometimes they're corny because they're software-y, but just getting that in the toolkit. And then my first time like writing music too, because like the modern software you can have 100 different tracks, but this let you do like 5 different tracks. So I did the drums, the bass, and synth and stuff.
Very cool. And you had mentioned, you alluded to your production of music, and I wanted to talk about your music handle, Kane Korso, that I introduced you as, and I wanted to tell me where that name came from, your brand, and kind of like where this, when did this start, and tell me a little bit about Kane Korso.
Yeah. So I like was really into music production, high school, college, and then out of college. And then life kind of happened and I didn't do it for 5 years or so.
After college.
Yeah, just kind of got caught up in working and it can be pretty frustrating too. I think it was pretty hard on myself and just ultimately stepped away for a while. And then 2 years ago, went to a music festival, like a EDM festival, and it was just such a great experience. I was like, I really miss this, and I've just been doing it nonstop ever since. So that's when the current brand came, and the Kane Corso name specifically. It's like really hard to come up with a stage name. It's kind of like not cool until it is. Like I don't know if my name was Skrillex and I was tiny, like would still think it was cool. I don't know. So
Right.
it was hard to come up with, but I have an Italian Greyhound, and for some reason I was looking at Italian dog breeds, and I saw this like beautiful, massive Mastiff that's a Cane Corso, and I thought it'd be funny if I'm like the big Italian dog and he's the little one.
Yeah, that's really cool. Yeah, I don't know if many people like think about creating that mantra for yourself and how much pressure and what that feels like of like when you pick this, most likely this is going to stick with you for a long time, forever. I mean, some artists do change their name and
Yeah,
things happen, but the where that comes from is like, it's a big decision.
it's tricky. Like, yeah, it's really hard to find one. Try chat GBT. I don't know. Yeah, it's definitely something like if it comes to you, just roll with it because I think things become cool once they're cool.
Yeah, it's like when Donald Glover made his name Childish Gambino. It was like he threw it in some like word generator. It's like, all right, that became like a very, very popular artist. But
Yeah.
I don't know if everyone knows like where that came from or if it, has anything to do with his life. But can you walk me through what was that inspiration like at the concert? Did you feel it inside of you when you were listening, or when did you know like, wow, like I've missed what I'm witnessing right now?
That's a good question. I think like the years I wasn't doing it, like I still had an amazing time, but I was always trying new things to fill the void because I think as humans we need purpose. We need something that really excites. If we're lucky, we can find that. And I tried like Muay Thai,
Mhm.
and it was still a great experience. But I'm just someone who loves having something that they can go all into. I feel like that's when I'm at my best. So then when we got music and just had such a great time and saw everyone else having a great time on the musical level, just hearing like where electronic music had gone in those 5 years I'd been away. It was like, I'm just gonna try it. Maybe it doesn't stick. I want to at least try it. And then thankfully, like that spark hasn't gone out in 2 years now, which is really nice.
Yeah, and how would you describe your genre of music? I'll put all the links out for, your singles and everything, but
Yeah,
for those listening, what's your music style?
I'm still trying to figure it out. But I will say, I like, at least at this stage, I like keeping it upbeat, um, dancey, like fun, energetic. But I also really try to keep it accessible to people who aren't super into that world. So it's not like super hard techno or super
Mhm.
hard dubstep where it's like you have to be into that niche. So it's like kind of, at least as of now, like dancey, fun electronic music, but still pretty poppy and accessible to
Mhm.
anyone.
Cool. Yeah, I listened to a few in the days leading up to this, and it just has that upbeat feeling. You feel the bass coming and the drop, and it's like, okay, it reminds me of like some good. Yeah, I mean, I'm not a huge like aficionado of like what the techno industry music world
Yeah.
looks like, but I really enjoy it, and I think like the work you've put into it is paying off, and I want you to know like it's good stuff.
Thank you so much, man. Like that means the world.
Oh yeah, of course. Um, when you imagine people listening to your music for where it's at right now, what do you envision? Is there like a thought in your head of like where people are, or how it makes them feel, or kind of what does that look like to you?
So in my current state, where I really can enjoy music is the car.
Hmm.
Like we live in Tampa, St. Pete. It's a very drivey place,
Hmm.
and it's usually sunny too. So just roll
Yeah.
down the windows, blast it. So that's usually in the back of my mind, and I'll always. And I think this is pretty common in music production. The car test is like
Hmm.
that last final test
Yeah.
before you put it out. So I definitely picture the car a lot, and for how it makes people feel. I think one of my favorite things about dance music, electronic music, is like it really can boost your mood and energy levels. So that's really my dream with it is to, it doesn't have to be like life changing, but maybe you need a little pick me up that day. I would love to
Yeah.
give that to people.
To boost the mood for someone who, whether your song comes on their shuffle or a playlist or whatever,
Yeah,
like we can feel that our energy rise in whatever moment in life. And music for me, I know it definitely plays a big part in it, and I think that's great for your vision because someone might not know who you are, or they'll see your name and, oh, okay, like Kane Corso, like I like this, and then
yeah,
eventually they might get into you or look, and I think that's a great vision because music can play such a big role in our energy levels.
that's what I'm dreaming of. Like, yeah, would love to share that with people.
Yeah. You mentioned the car test, and I guess I haven't really thought a ton about like where the ideal place to listen to music to. So for you, like what are, in the car in headphones, like what at the gym, like have you thought about like your ideal places to listen to music and like, talking about that car test being the final measuring stick for you, kind of where do you kind of throw all that together?
As a listener or as a
Listener.
producer? Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
And then maybe you could touch on the producing side if,
Yeah.
that also.
Car's my favorite. Like, I only bought the base model of my car. It's a Mazda, but the speakers bump,
Hmm.
and they're not super bassy or like there's no sub or anything,
Hmm.
but it's just a really clean sound,
Yeah.
which I kind of prefer. So I love blasting in there. And like I said, you can't beat windows down, Florida
Hmm.
sunrise or something like that. What else? Love good headphones. Like I think people who love music should definitely invest in a great pair
Any
of headphones.
recommendations, or you have like I have the Beats Studio Pro,
Okay.
and I'm not out here trying to put out ads or anything, but the over the top headphones have become so popular now. I
Yeah.
don't know if it's a resurgence or what. Like I've had AirPods Now I've got the Beats Studio Pro, but like, do
Okay.
you have a preference or?
Yeah, I think a good pair, if you want good audio quality, like good product, like doesn't hurt your ears or anything, but you're not gonna like spend a ton because that world can get really expensive. Audio Technica.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's an Italian company, and they're underrated. I would check those out for sure.
All right. Link in the description.
Referral code.
Yeah. Um, Tell me something most people don't know about making or producing music because you're into that field and you know the intricacies of it, but what do some people not know about your world?
Mm.
Or is there something that, you know, people would have no idea that like editing this, 10 seconds of your song actually takes 5 hours to produce. Like what are some, when you're in that in your flow state making that music, like what is, what's going on in there?
Okay, a few things come to mind because like when you're writing music, like it's so broad, it's a creative thing, but you do want to like have some science to it, not too much because it is an art. But so a good thing I would tell people who want to get into it or just good info to have is like when writing a melody, think of it, and this comes from an artist I love, by the way, so I'm not taking credit for this. Think of it as a conversation, and the term's often call and response. So like one instrument will play da da da, and then when you're writing that next part, really think of it as response. Or you can do that with different instruments, or like a common pattern will be like a singer will sing something, and then there'll be a break, or maybe the guitar. So it's really a conversation, and that's really enabled me to like try to write kind of catchier melodies.
Okay.
So there's like a storytelling aspect to it almost, even if it's not words.
Yeah. And when I listen to your music, like one of the questions I have from not like producing my own music before, just like being a part of some projects, but not like being the guy that like puts it all together, is like the vocals for your sounds and music come from where? And like with your production of the platform that you use, like vocally, when you hear this woman singing and doing this, like where does that come from?
So I would love to get in the booth with vocalists. I don't even know that world very well. Would love to learn more about recording audio, setting up the closet. That's like definitely in my long-term goals. But right now, I just get the vocals online. Mm-hmm. So there's ways to get copyright-free vocals, and it'll just be a vocal. Like I'll never, if there was a song that went with it, I'll never listen to it because I don't want it to affect what I come up with.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm doing right now, and what a lot of producers are doing, just because it's kind of an easier barrier to entry to have that already taken care of, and then I don't have to find a vocalist either.
Yeah.
But the other good part is it kind of gives me a constraint, like kind of need one constraint to get you going. So it's kind of nice to have the vocals ready too.
And are these vocalists, recording and giving it out to the world for free, or is it like they're getting money through streams, or how does that work?
Yeah, so the main site for this is called Splice, and it's royalty-free samples. So you pay a monthly subscription, and then anything you can use, you can put out totally under your name. Mm-hmm. But they can see how many people are downloading and using that vocal, so that artist is getting money from it too. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of this cool system of maybe an artist isn't making as much money as they need doing their own songs, so they'll just put out some vocals and just like passive income. Okay. But a little plug for the next song. My first time, it's my first time ever buying a vocal. Uh-huh. So there's sites where you can buy all different vocals, and she's gonna get a cut of the royalties too. So I'm really excited to level up that part of the songs.
Awesome. I was gonna ask, like, tell me about your upcoming project, and how long has it been in the making, and where do you see that going?
Yeah, it's been tough. Just life stuff's come up, so I've had to put it down a month and then come back to it. But I think I've been doing it maybe 3 months, and we're almost done. I'm gonna mix it maybe this weekend. Mm-hmm. Just do that final mixing. and I think only myself and my girlfriend have heard it, but both think it's my best one yet. So I'm really excited about it.
Yeah. When you officially drop the track, what does that process look like, and how does it make you feel through the platforms that you use it for? Like, what does that look like for you?
So I use a site called DistroKid. There's a ton of competitors, but they're it's not like YouTube. You can't just put a song directly to Spotify. There are these middlemen distributors. So you use one of those, and that kind of sends it to all the channels at once, and you put in the release date and all that. So that's like the technical side of releasing it, but I need to get better at the marketing and social media. That's not really something I gravitate towards. Like I don't even think I had an Instagram really before this. So I want to start doing more of that. It's not my natural, but you got to do stuff you don't want to do.
Right. I heard an artist say that, advertising your stuff on TikTok, Instagram, like making these reels, it's just like, it doesn't feel natural. And I feel like for an artist, like the big time artists, they have people doing that for them. Like they're not in charge of, producing the content that's going to put their stuff out there. But, you know, how does that work as an artist? Like, you're not huge into social media, but if you want to build your platform and see it grow, like this is the day and age, this is the time to put stuff out there because people are just craving and sitting there and like it'll stumble upon somebody.
Yeah. So you can try to get a label, which would help, but they take a big cut of the song. So I'm exploring that. If your song has to be good enough, like you have to submit, and then I'm sure it's a low percentage should get it. But that's one avenue. The other avenue that I'm opening up to, because like I said, it's not my natural forte, but I do know it's essential to be an artist these days. Just to make it as authentic as possible. So like I think maybe something with live streaming and then cutting clips from that. Like I don't see me doing this whole like trendy stuff just 'cause I've never done it before and I don't enjoy it. But I think if I can find a way to do it authentically, or maybe I'm filming 3 hours of me making music, maybe there'll be a 10-second in there where it's entertaining, but it's still me to some extent.
Yeah. And I think you finding that, like, whatever that avenue is, like, it might take time, but I think the more you're producing music, you'll get the hang of it and eventually find, like, what's going to hit to allow your music to grow the way you want it to.
I hope so, man. It's like, it's very iterative. You don't really know what's going to work. You got to throw a lot of shit at the wall.
Yeah. So speaking of that and just social media and how you're able to get your music out there, for you, how much does streams, likes, and clout play a role in how successful your music is? Because obviously we want to see our projects and our passion and creativity. We want to see it reach a big audience. But for you, like, what does that look like to you in terms of success and in those avenues?
It definitely plays a factor, and I'm not saying that's the right approach, and I try not to. But as soon as the song gets out, Spotify has an app for the artist. Like I'm checking it every. Thank God, like they only refresh the data so often, but it's like a tough balance of you want to love the song because you put a lot of time into it, and that's definitely a pure love, but validation still feels good as a human, and you need someone beside yourself to tell you you're good sometimes too.
Yeah, it's those words of affirmation.
Yeah.
And yeah, like same thing for this podcast we're doing, like I'll upload it to YouTube. If it gets 100 views, it gets 100 views. But for me personally, I know that like clout chasing and doing every cut this clip, put it on this, like, to me, that's not what it's about. For me, I want to have a genuine conversation. I want to, share your passion with whoever wants to watch this. And like, if it gets views, it gets views. But to me, like I've been in that stage where some of my former students watched me make TikToks during COVID, and it was the most cringe thing ever. And I saw myself just, scrolling and looking at the likes and the views, and I just felt like, what am I doing? Like, this is not, this doesn't, yeah, it felt gross. That's a perfect way to describe it. And so after about a month, I was like, this isn't me. Like, I don't want to do this anymore. And so I haven't,
Yeah.
done that since. And it's this weird world of like, you can get paid from this stuff, and there's a lot of money out there for content creators, but that feeling of like, where is the genuine connection? It's happening right
Yeah.
here, and like, our phones are down and we're having this conversation, but like, so much of our world really is like what we see for a couple hours a day.
No, I really respect that, and that's a way pure way to create.
Hmm.
I definitely want to do more of that. I think probably why I'm so hard pressed on the numbers still is, and it's still a pipe dream. It's still a long way
Hmm.
to go, but like my true dream, if I'm not lying, it would be to do it full time. So I think those numbers
Yeah.
help me let me know I'm getting there.
Right.
But there's also maybe you only check it, once a week, or
Right.
there's a balance. I think I could do a better job of.
Hmm. And I'm curious, like, from your angle as the creator, what does that look like as you kind of analyze your data? Is it saying, male versus female, who's listening, what countries, what states, counties, and like, is it, I just got a view in Orlando? Like, what does that look like?
The Spotify analytics, they get pretty granular. You get like cities on there, countries. The last song, which is my biggest one yet, was way bigger in Latin America, which was cool.
Hmm.
Like it got on a playlist called Pop in Inglés. So it was like this pop playlist that like only people in Latin America listen to.
Okay.
Um,
And did it show you that it made it onto that playlist?
yeah,
Okay, and that's a huge thing.
that was my biggest break yet, and it's kind of like TikTok or YouTube where it's algorithmic too. So I kind of needed the initial data to feed it, but
Mhm.
then it took off. And we're not talking about millions here, but you can only compare to your past self. And
Mhm.
now here I am pumped about the numbers again. But yeah, it shows you country. It's just cool to be like someone, I don't know, 10 people in Morocco like this
Yeah.
song. Or not that they like it, but they listen to it.
Yeah. Yeah, my buddy Cooper Smith helped me produce the project that we made together. One of his songs on Spotify got put on a playlist, and all of a sudden, boom, it blew up. And it was like, if you look through people's, like, there's going to be one that like is bigger than the rest. And for the music industry, it's like, how can you get onto one playlist or reach one person that has a connection? And I guess it's just a game of luck.
Definitely, man. Yeah. Just practicing and that moment will come.
Mhm. So, how often would you say that you think about music?
Too much.
So we're talking, every day, every hour, like,
Yeah.
we have jobs and we're doing this, and like,
Yeah.
music is a passion of yours. Is it, constantly like, how do I get to my next project? Or, you got to also find time to enjoy other things in life.
Definitely. I'm like, unfortunately, I do have a job I like. So if I'm working, I can usually put it down focus because I want to do well there and I've been there a while. But if I'm not working, I'm probably thinking about music or like, I still love human connections. If I'm out with my girlfriend, I try to be really present with her or here with you or,
Playing volleyball, doing whatever.
getting in the now. Like you still gotta get in the moment. But if I'm by myself, I should say, maybe melodies are running through my head or sometimes I'll just download the song I'm working on my phone, just play it when I'm walking the dog and be like, oh, I could turn up that part. So
Yeah.
yeah.
But you have mentioned that producing music in the capacity that you do is an isolating hobby. So how do you combat that with your everyday life and, finding a balance between being social and doing things, but also you love to do this, but it requires you to, sit down by yourself and get to work.
It's tough, man. I definitely don't do a great job of it. I think I was telling you before, it's before saying like after a long day of work, it's hard for me to make music. So I have the weeknights to get out, do volleyball, work out, trying to socialize, see people. And then the balance I've come up with on the weekends is I'll do one day all studio day, and then another day with my girlfriend and friends all social.
And is that every weekend? Like one studio day every weekend?
Yeah,
Yeah.
pretty much.
Saturday, Sunday. Do you have a preference?
I prefer Saturday.
Yeah.
Just because there's no worrying about the night. Sunday you're thinking about Monday. Sometimes it's just you get lost in it.
Yeah.
Just do it all day.
Yeah. And maybe some people are different, but I'm the same way as you. Like, if I have a project or something I want to do where I know I need to get it done, like morning, I can't,
Yeah.
my brain's fried. These kids are driving me crazy all day.
100%.
I got to get it done in the morning. And then, your brain just feels fresh and alive.
The
And
best.
you can wake up and, like, for you on that Saturday, just get to work. And what's that look like? 6, 8, 10-hour days? What do we?
I really love the mornings too. Like if you're doing something you're really passionate about and you're half-assing it, just feels terrible. So I totally agree. You gotta be fresh. I usually wake up on the Saturday, hit either Starbucks or Dunkies, get a nice coffee. I just want to be home. I just want to be like
Get in the mood, get us up.
so energetic. And then I'll take the dog on a long walk so he's content. And then I'll just do it all day. Maybe take a break or, some days are better than others. Maybe I'm not having any ideas. So step aside. But then as soon as I put it down, maybe something will come. So
Cool.
sometimes the late nights are cool too. Not after work, but
Yeah.
sometimes if you're really cooking, it's kind of cool. Everyone's asleep, you're just jamming.
Cool. Well, now that you're on the pod, I always end it with one thing on your mind. So I know you have a big track that you're producing, and maybe that's the one thing on your mind, but I always like to just open up the floor and, what's going on in life. Is there anything kind of book, TV show, movie, song? Like, what's one thing that's been on your mind lately?
Okay. So we were talking about it a little in this, but I've just been felt like I'm spending way too much time on my phone, doom scrolling.
Doom scrolling, kids, don't do it.
I'm not even enjoying it. It's just kind of this automatic response.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I haven't read a book in a long time.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, I really miss fantasy books. I love those as a kid. So I asked my buddy who's really into those. So I'm reading Brandon Sanderson, who's really big in that genre, The Way of Kings, and it's been so good. And gradually hoping that it brings my attention span back to what it was.
Cool. Yeah, books are important because I found myself yesterday scrolling too much, and I don't know. We could have our own episode on social media, and we talk. I mean, it just gets brought up. It's such a part and so ingrained in everybody's everyday life that like it's hard not to talk about.
Yeah.
So for me, the one thing on my mind is I want to get back into music. I want to write one song.
Dude, come on back.
I just want to write, like taking that pen and waking up and seeing what can flow together, rhyme, have a good cadence. And it's been a while since I've written anything, and not that I do it for like I do it to be creative, and I want to tell a story. So I just woke up 2 nights ago and I was like, hey, I kind of want to do something. So, and to have a project to do after work, I think is so important. Like I love to coach, and
Hell yeah.
getting back into coaching here soon. So like when I'm not coaching for like the 2 week breaks we have, I find myself going crazy. Like
Yeah.
getting
I
home at
always-
5 o'clock, 6 o'clock. What do I do? Like make dinner? Like
Yeah. Netflix, that gets old.
yeah. So having a creative project is what I'm looking forward to. So
Do you envision like rapping or singing?
um
Or both?
probably more rapping, but like poetry. I don't think of it as like I just think of it as like writing a poem and like telling a story, and however that comes out, it'll come out. But I just
So you're a lyrics guy. Okay.
it's all about the lyrics.
That's so interesting because I've talked about this with other people. I think I think most people really prioritize one or the other when they're listening, which is it.
I'm so lyrical.
I don't even know lyrics to a lot of songs. I only hear the music.
I tell my friend, like some of my friends, like don't even care what they're saying. and it's just like the sound. Like how does that? And for me, like I need to hear the
It's
lyrics.
fascinating.
Yeah, I guess our brains work a little different.
But you're a teacher. Do you teach English at all?
History, but there's some ELA like involved with the writing we do. So like
Yeah.
our kids are writing and they're like, Mr. Denicky, this is history class. Why are we writing? And I'm like, well, they kind of coincide with each other. So,
Nice.
you know, maybe I've never thought about why I am like a more lyrical guy and the way I like to like take in my music, but I guess we just found something out. So Kane Corso in the building.
And
Appreciate you coming on and
thank you for having me.
until next time.